Hello, everyone, and welcome to a CAM4 expert interview. I'm Laura Desiree, and I'm thrilled. This is a personal hero of mine, and I get the opportunity to sit one-on-one, which is always a joy and an honor. This is the fabulous Cindy Gallop. So, brand and business innovator, consultant, coach, keynote speaker, and founder of Make Love Not Porn. Welcome, Cindy.
Thanks, Laura. Always a pleasure.
Oh, just a true joy. Cindy, people that watch this channel, a lot of them are sex positive, adult content professionals making a living in porn. And they might hear the name Make Love Not Porn, and perhaps it makes them feel a little apprehension or fear of, oh my gosh, what is the plan of this and what will it do to my industry? So I would love for you to give us an introduction to the concept, the philosophy, and really everything that is Make Love Not Porn.
Sure. No, and I hasten to add that at Make Love Not Porn, as our tagline says, we are pro-sex, pro-porn, pro-knowing the difference. So I started Make Love Not Porn because I date younger men and realized through dating younger men something like 16, 17 years ago, that when we don't talk openly and honestly about sex in the real world, porn becomes sex education by default in not a good way. I'm a naturally action-oriented person. I'm going to do something about this. And so 50 years ago, I put up a tiny clunky website at makelovenotporn.com that in its original version was just words. The construct was porn world versus real world. Here's what happens in the porn world. Here's what really happens in the real world. I launched Make Love Not Porn at TED in 2009. I became the only TED speaker to utter the words "come on my face" on the TED stage 6 times in succession. The talk went viral as a result, and it drove this extraordinary global response to my tiny website that I had never anticipated. Thousands of people wrote to me from all around the world, young and old, male and female, straight and gay, pouring their hearts out, telling me things about their sex lives and their porn watching habits they never told anyone before. And I realized I'd uncovered a huge global social issue. And so I then felt a responsibility to take Make Love Not Porn forward in a way that would make it more helpful, far-reaching, and effective. So I turned into a business designed to do good and make money simultaneously, which is what I believe all business should ultimately be. And so today, Make Love Not Porn is the world's first and only user-generated, 100% human-curated social sex video sharing platform. So a kind of what Facebook would be if it allowed you to healthily, socially, sexually self-express, which clearly does not. And the way to think about us is, if porn is the Hollywood blockbuster movie, Make Love Not Porn is the badly needed documentary. We are a unique window onto the funny, messy, loving, wonderful sex we all have in the real world. And by the way, Laura, I use that analogy very deliberately because, as I said earlier, we are pro-sex, pro-porn, pro-knowing the difference. People like watching movies. People also like watching documentaries. Sometimes they're in the mood for a movie, sometimes in the mood for a documentary. Make Love Not Porn is not a competitor to porn. We're the only real-world counterpoint and complement, which is very much needed. And what we're doing is we are socializing, normalizing, and destigmatizing sex in the real world. Bringing it out of the shadows into the sunlight to promote consent, communication, good sexual values and behavior. We are literally sex education through real-world demonstration. And I foresaw the creator economy 15 years ago when I devised our revenue share model to democratize access to income. Our members pay to subscribe, rent, and stream our social sex videos. Half the income goes to our contributors, whom we call our Make Love Not Porn stars.
I learned so much. Right when I thought I knew a lot of the trajectory of that business, I had no idea actually that the website started as text only. So what is the leap from text only to being a site that then hosts videos and is actually making a call to action for users to upload? Like, I didn't realize that was part of this development.
When I first had the idea of doing what was effectively a public service announcement of porn world versus real world, I had no idea that this is what was going to happen either. It was realizing that something I'd experienced personally in bed was actually true for an awful lot of people all around the world. And one of my personal philosophies is I'm all about communication through demonstration. Don't say it, be it and do it. What I realized was, for Make Love Not Porn, nobody had ever answered the question that everyone has been asking since the dawn of time, which is, what is everybody else really doing in bed? Because as we know, first of all, a ton of videos on the internet billed as amateur porn aren't. They are professional production companies masquerading as amateur because that's what people want to see. But also, there are a lot of creators who are creating amateur porn, but they are replicating what the professionals do because, again, they think it's what people want to see. As I said earlier, the issue isn't porn. The issue is that we don't talk about sex in the real world. And so in order to further this mission, or making it easy for every single person in the world to talk openly and honestly about sex, I decided very simply to take every dynamic in social media and apply them to this one area of universal human experience that no other social platform allows. And so it really was that simple. Bring the power of social to sex in the real world. And that's where that idea came from.
Registering a site with the name porn in it. Was that a challenge?
It's so funny, Laura, because over the years, a lot of very well-meaning people have said to me, Cindy, you should change your name because it's got the word porn in it. And that must be a real problem. And so you should call it something vague and innocuous. And I've always refused to do that because, first of all, when people ask me what I do, and I say I have a business called Make Love Not Porn, they may not know exactly what it is, but they know exactly why it exists. I mean, people get it instantly. But also, the interesting thing, Laura, is 16 years ago when I came up with this idea, I went, okay, I want to do a little porn world versus real world site. I've got to find a name for it. I need to call it something short, punchy, memorable, and where the URL is available so I can buy it. And I went, Make Love Not War, Make Love Not Porn. That's about as much thought as went into it, okay? Little did I realize that today I own the definitive call to action in this arena. Because every day, thousands of young people hashtag Make Love Not Porn across every social channel, think they're the very first person ever thought of saying that. And in fact, one investor I spoke to did say to me, I love the fact that you own the summation of what you're all about. I mean, they saw that as a real asset. But also, where it's really helped us is in a scenario I know you're very familiar with, which is that currently, I am banned from advertising Make Love Porn anywhere. I cannot advertise Make Love Not Porn on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter. And by the way, I ask you, we are not allowed to advertise on Twitter. We're not allowed to advertise on Reddit. What the fuck? Google, YouTube. But here's the thing. It's especially frustrating that Google bans us from paid search because all around the world, every day, people search for Make Love Not Porn without knowing that we exist. What I mean by that is the top organic search terms that send traffic to us are Make Love, Not Porn, Real Sex Not Porn, Video Sexo Na Porno, where they don't know there's a company called that. One young man told me that he found us when he Googled porn that is not porn. He was fed up with everything out there, wanted something different, I had no idea what to search for. Fortunately, when you search porn that is not porn, you find Make Love Not. That is how, in the absence of the ability to advertise, our name really helps us in an organic search context.
I'm so early on in this banter. My nipples got hard thinking about the enormity of the URL of this site alone. The summation of the movement itself. My God.
And by the way, I've trademarked the shit out of this, as you can imagine.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, I believe in planning for success. And so I have trademarked Make Love Not Porn across every possible category. Lingerie. No, I'm serious. I absolutely, one should always plan for success.
Listen, I don't doubt any of the business decisions you've made along the way. You are the one to make the right business decisions. That's why I literally think, what would Cindy do anytime I have any kind of negotiation on the table? So looking at the future of Make Love Not Porn, looking at how to forecast some of the developments to come, and especially the announcement that you just made. Can you give us a little insight on what might be happening or what is happening?
Happily, because I very much hope that our listeners and viewers will consider participating. So as I know you absolutely understand, I have really struggled over the years to raise funding for Make Love Not Porn, because VCs and investors just don't want to touch anything to do with sex, which, by the way, is ridiculous, because I point out that I have a business that operates in the single area of universal human experience we are all most engaged with, most fascinated by, and most fucked up about. Dollar signs all over that shit. Nevertheless, no investor will touch me. I've one wonderful investor who put up the seed funding and has been very supportive since. So we have just finally launched our first ever equity crowdfunding campaign. And it's our first ever because historically, again, unsurprisingly, no platform would touch us with a barge pole. I mean, Kickstarter, forget it. Indiegogo had a very artificial demarcation, which was sex toys fine, people having sex on video not fine. That happens a lot, by the way. Then over the years, every time a new crowdfunding platform launched, I would approach them. They would suddenly discover they had a no adult content clause. And so the only reason in 2024 we've finally been able to do this is because the wonderful Jameela Jamil, the actress of The Good Place, She-Hulk fame, so she interviewed me on her podcast. She has a wonderful community called iWay. And she's a huge fan, and she wants to encourage her community to fund female founders. And so she is our lead investor for our We Fund Equity crowdfunding campaign. She's promoted us to her community. And so literally just 2 weeks ago, we launched our campaign. We are targeting just over $1 million. 2 weeks in, we're at 200,000. So fingers crossed, we're going to get there. And I would love to encourage our listeners and viewers to participate. The minimum investment is $100, so it's very affordable, but obviously put in as much as you can. But this is an investment. It's not a donation. It's not your normal crowdfunding. It's an investment, and I'm determined to do my damnedest to add several zeros to whatever anybody puts in by making Make Love Not Porn into the unicorn I know it can be.
Congratulations. This is revolutionary in so many ways, and I know how many people share our desire to keep social sexual revolution happening within our modern world. And I think this is a phenomenal opportunity to be a part of that. So yeah, listeners, viewers, please follow up with Cindy. We're going to get the information on where to find all of that. So stay tuned. I do want to pick your brilliant brain when it comes to business here for a moment. I'm thinking of the creators that are on our platform. I'm thinking of folks that make up the adult industry, that make a living this way. When it comes to being a real titan of industry, how much of that is based on experience and going the rounds in the ring in business negotiations, and how much of it is something that you could learn in a program or learn in a schooling system?
What I would love to say to our wonderful CAM4 audience is you don't need to have taken a course in business, okay? You don't need to have worked in some kind of business capacity to give you experience. The single most important thing to enable you to do business the way you want to do business is have a very good sense of your own value and understand that people will value you at the value you are seen to put on yourself. And that's the starting point for everything. So know that what you uniquely bring to the table is enormously valuable, okay? And that should inform all of your business decisions, because if somebody undervalues you, get the fuck out, okay? And really, really trust your gut instincts, because again, gut instinct and intuition trumps rational business thinking anytime. If you feel that you are not being valued as you should be, get the fuck out. And so your decisions should be absolutely driven by a sense of your own value. I've been saying for years, in any context, salaries, fees, whatever it may be, the amount you ask for is always the highest amount you can say out loud without actually bursting out laughing. And trust me, it works. I've been giving that advice for decades, and I hear from people every week who say, I tried it, Cindy, and it worked. And obviously that comes off a really good sense of your own value. And you only want to work with people who not only share that sense of your value, but also share your values. And if you've never done this before, I really recommend this exercise, because this really is a starting point for everything. Take a long, hard look into yourself and identify what you believe in, what you value, what you stand for, what you're all about, because that makes life so much easier. Life still throws at you all the shit it always will, but exactly how to respond to that shit in any given situation in a way that is true to you. And by the way, that is the secret of happiness. Living your life, working your work in a way that is always true to your values.
That's advice beyond business, by the way. That is relationship advice in every possible form of a relationship. That's something that I want to apply it everywhere, and I'm working at it every single day. Just thank you for that. A lot of people see their worth as maybe the money that they bring in. If you're a content creator, they equate their worth to, well, at the end of the month, what have I earned? I guess that's my worth. And there's, of course, the Tony Robbins approach of motivational speaking and bringing yourself up to this idea of knowing your worth and this emotional sense of knowing your worth. But are there ways of calculating your worth so that you're on track in a realistic tone? I mean, do you refer to other rates that exist and try and stay within what might be an established number in the industry?
No, absolutely not. Set out to set new standards of what you get paid in the industry. Honestly, I cannot say this emphatically enough, Laura. I think it's worth just making our audience aware that 15 years of working on Make Love Not Porn has also made me a champion and an advocate insofar as I can be for the adult industry as a whole. We all face the same challenges. And I've been saying for years publicly and writing op-eds in business publications about the fact that the answer to everything that worries people ostensibly about the adult industry and porn and sex, frankly, in totality, is not to shut down, censor, clamp down, block, repress. It is instead to open up. Open up the dialogue around all of this. Open up to welcoming, supporting, and funding the entrepreneurs who are the future of the adult industry. And importantly, open up to allowing us all to do business the same way everybody else does. Because we all know the financial barriers that we face. And it's worth saying that I absolutely believe that it is possible to change all of that. And I really want our audience to know that. Just speaking from my own side, when I began building Make Love Not Porn 15 years ago, and I discovered the financial obstacles I was up against that we're all familiar with, somebody said to me, Cindy, to do what you want to do, you're going to have to start your own bank. And I was so angry, I went, right, I'm going to start my own bank. And I literally investigated starting my own bank, which is when, by the way, I discovered it's impossible. Okay, regulation makes starting your own bank impossible. But if you told me 15 years ago I'd spend this much of my life talking to banks and payment processors, I would not have believed you. And I've been looking for friendly banks for 50 years. These days, I'm finding them. As I talk to investors about Make Love Not Porn, I've had investors saying, Cindy, I'm sure you could raise funding to buy a bank. And given the recent Silicon Valley bank implosion, it's a lot easier to buy a bank than it ever has been. And equally, my Make Love Not Porn team can tell you that when I talk about this as a one-day goal, because honestly, that would be my dream, I want to build the Stripe of sex tech. The key to the Stripe of sex tech is a bank that underwrites it. And as I say, I'm now talking to banks to get it. But in an ideal world, I would buy a bank. And I've said to my team, if I ever get to do that, I'm opening that bank up to every single sex worker who's been refused a bank account everywhere else. And fuck me, the revenue. When a bank does that, the money you would make when you welcome in the legal, ethical adult industry, oh my God. I'm sharing that because I want our audience to know that there are people out to change all of this. And so don't look at the system and go, I have to work within the system. Go, I have a unique value and I want to make sure that that value is rewarded and compensated. I'm going to set my own standards and my own benchmarks and my own goals, and that's what I'm going to go for. Does that make sense?
100%. Would you say that that's the mantra that folks in the industry who are brazenly ambitious should remind themselves when the stigma feels too sticky and heavy?
Oh, absolutely. And also, at Make Love Not Porn, we celebrate real world everything. Real world bodies, real world penis size, real world breast vulvas, etc. And the reason that's important is because in a world where popular culture sends us messages all the time that say you are not hot, attractive, or desirable unless you are this skinny, six-pack abs, look like this, our members write to us and say, you made me feel better about my own body. Because what we prove at Make Love Not Porn is that in the real world, what is hot and desirable is you, and your body is hot because it's yours. Now, everybody, as I said, who is a CAM4 model knows the truth of that, because you have a unique relationship with your customers and your clients that is about the uniqueness of you. That is what is the appeal. Contrary to the presumption that it's because you look like this or you've got to look like this or whatever. It's your unique spirit, it's your unique interactions, it's your personality that is why you have the customers and the clients that you do. And that is the value. So it's not about conforming to the industry standard. It's also, by the way, not subscribing in any way at all to the industry belief you are interchangeable with every other model, because you're not. You're you.
Cindy, thank you for this knowledge. I have one left for you today, and it sounds so simple, but I can't believe I've never asked you this. Who inspires you? Who are your inspirations?
Honestly, I'm inspired by everybody around me every day working to change the world we live in to be the world we all want to live in. I believe in humanity. I love people because people are all around us every day doing extraordinary things. And I mean, in the course of reading the news or social, I come across so many people who are just doing what needs to be done to change the world for the better. And everyone like that inspires me.
Well, we got to be reading the news more then, folks. Find that good news out there to pull some of that inspiration into your world too. Cindy, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much. And for everyone watching and listening, how do they get connected with you and learn more about all of the wonderful developments and opportunities with Make Love Not Porn?
I would obviously love everybody to come and visit us at makelovenotporn.com. I would love you to consider becoming Make Love Not Porn stars. Share your real world sex on Make Love Not Porn. You can follow me and Make Love Not Porn on Instagram and Twitter at Cindy Gallop at Make Love Not Porn. I have a Substack called Dear Cindy, where I answer readers' questions. And obviously, please do go to wefunder.com/makelovenotporn and become a micro investor in Make Love Not Porn, because we would really love everyone who believes in what we're doing to, in the face of investors' reluctance, be our investors and help us raise that $1 million to scale Make Love Not Porn and build out everything that we want to.
Thank you so much. And everyone watching, listening, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed today's episode. And my goodness, Cindy, the gratitude is just boundless. Thank you.
Laura, always a pleasure.
Have a wonderful day, and we'll chat soon.
Okay.
Bye.